G'day everybody. On February 15th, 2024, we took a summit trip up to Mount Washington to the actual summit with the SnowCoach tours. Generally, they do not go all the way up, and they never have until this year. So we're one of the lucky few that have actually got to experience this all the way to the summit. What you're seeing here is a little bit of a sped up video of the trip as we go up. The wind conditions that day were horrendous, even though it was a beautiful blue sky morning. We actually went up twice, once in the morning and once after lunch, and it was an experience of a lifetime. Here we get the first sneak peek of the trio of mountains, Jefferson, Adams and Madison, and you can kind of think of that acronym JAM to help you remember from left to right as you see the peaks. It's about a 2.5 hour trip, round trip. You don't get a lot of time at the top, unfortunately. You only get about 15-20 minutes at the top before they turn back around. So if you're going to do it, kind of plan and have your whatever you think you want to photograph ready in your mind, and just be prepared and dress for really crazy conditions. If I remember right, the weather that morning was minus 30 wind chill at the summit and about 70-mile-an-hour gusts. What I do know was, even with a small handheld camera, it was nearly impossible to keep the camera still for any 2 consecutive shots. It was like you got pushed around up there, but it was awesome. It was a really cool experience. What you can see down there on the right is actually where we left the SnowCoach base, and here's your trio mountains, the Jam Ackerman, and now we are above the tree line, which, just remember, if you see the SnowCoach tours and they say they're only going to the 4,000 foot level, you're not going to see this because you don't get above the tree line. So just keep that in mind, the difference between an actual summit tour and the 4,000 foot regular tour. We had to mute some of the audio, so there's not going to be as much audio on here because we were recording from inside the van and there was continuous talking and very loud noise from the tracks that drive the coach up the mountain. So there's not going to be much of the original audio from the trip due to those conditions of being inside the van. But my wife got some spectacular video, so we'll just let you enjoy some of the views. Here you can really see how windy it was. You know, this is just snow being picked up. You know, it was crazy. Beautiful, but crazy. We actually love those rocks on the left. We would have loved to have been able to get out and photograph them, but you can see the conditions were impossible. It's just so pretty once you get above the tree line. It's amazing. Before we went up, there was actually a big snow cloud that went ahead of all the vans and helped make sure the road was clear and groomed for our summit attempt. All that ice and snow that's blowing in the wind, it actually felt like it was kind of sandblasting the vans. You could kind of really hear it ching 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 on the van. It was quite intense. Look at those views, aren't they magnificent? I mean, we're now above everything else in New Hampshire. It's actually remarkable how steady the video is, because the van was shaking. My wife was using a little handheld camera, and she's from behind the actual windshield. And here we can start to see the first signs of the summit buildings and the observatory. It's just so magical. If you get a chance, the trip is amazing. This is rime ice covering all the handrails up from the summit. We are now on the summit, and my wife is walking around on the outside with 50 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. You actually had to lean into the wind. This was a helicopter that passed on the day, and we'll just let you enjoy the views of the summit right now. That's the weather station. Sometimes it's completely covered in rime ice. This is the tip-top house. It's beautiful up there. This is some rocks that looked out over, and this is the old stage building, stagecoach building, which is the original people who organised the trips up the mountain. This is as you walk up to the very summit to get to the summit sign. Make sure you go up to the summit and find the sign and stand right next to it, and you're on top of the world. (6,288 feet). Amazing. This is actually from the second trip, where you can see the clouds are starting to move in. And then we head down. See those sticks poking out of the ground here on the right? Sometimes the snow drift can actually be as high as those sticks. You can imagine on days like that, there won't be too many trips up the mountain. Alright, we hope this video gives you a pretty good idea of what you can expect. It ended up around 12 minutes. We tried to condense it to get a shorter version, but really if we didn't leave it at 12 minutes, you're not really going to get the full experience. So if you made it this far, we hope you enjoyed your trip. If we get a chance, we'll go back up again. We really loved it. And have fun, everybody. Rob and Miller signing out for this trip and this photography session and video session. Enjoy.